and the heart of the great kingdom of Ologbo, a lush and prosperous land where rivers sang with the melody of the gods and the fields bore bountiful harvests, lived a young man named Ejiro. He was born to humble parents who were known for their wisdom and hard-working nature in the village of Ugbokolo. As a boy, Ejiro often dreamt of greatness, but it was not in his nature to seek power. Rather, he longed to serve and to learn from those who could teach him the ways of honor and virtue. The people of Ologbo were blessed with a ruler, King Odum, whose reign was marked by fairness, wisdom, and prosperity. The king was a figure of legend, not only for his military prowess, but also for his dedication to justice. Under his rule, Ologbo had flourished, and its people lived in harmony. From a young age, Ejiro admired the king. He would often tell his friends stories of King Odum's greatness, his humility, and how he governed with both compassion and strength. Ejiro's father, who had once served in the king's army, would often recount tales of the king's valor in battle, and how he would always put his people's needs first. Ejiro's heart swelled with pride for the king, and he swore that one day he would serve him directly. As fate would have it, the opportunity arose when Ejiro turned 18. One day, a royal messenger arrived in Ugbokolo, bringing an invitation to serve in the palace. It was a momentous occasion, one that would change the course of his life forever. The villagers celebrated his good fortune, and Ejiro's parents, though sad to see him go, knew that their son had been called to a higher purpose. At the royal palace in Ologbo, Ejiro was awestruck by the splendor of the place. Tall, majestic columns rose high above, and the palace was filled with the aroma of sumptuous feasts. The courtyards echoed with the laughter of nobles, and the royal guards, clad in golden armor, stood at attention. It was everything he had ever dreamed of. As part of his duties, Ejiro ran errands for the king, delivered messages to the royal council, and assisted with the preparation of royal events. He worked tirelessly and faithfully, never once complaining. The king, noticing the young man's diligence and integrity, grew fond of him. Ejiro's loyalty was unmatched, and soon the king began to trust him with more important tasks, including accompanying him on hunting trips and private councils. It was during one such hunting expedition, deep in the forest of Adegi, that King Odum took Ejiro aside and shared a secret with him. "My son," the king began, his eyes dark with the weight of his thoughts, "you have served me well. There is something I wish to offer you, a promise I intend to keep." Ejiro, surprised, looked at the king, whose face was lined with years of wisdom and burdens. "You see, Osi, my chief advisor, has served me for many years. He is a man of great knowledge, but his ambition clouds his judgment. I have begun to suspect that he seeks to use his position for more than just service to the kingdom. Should I fall, it is possible that he might try to claim my throne. You, Ejiro, have proven yourself to be different. You have the heart of a true servant. If I am ever in danger, you will be the one I trust to lead the kingdom. That is my promise to you." Ejiro's heart swelled with gratitude and pride. To be trusted with such an important promise by the king was beyond his wildest dreams. He swore to uphold that promise, knowing that it would be a great honor to serve not just the king, but the kingdom of Ologbo. However, unknown to Ejiro, there was a shadow looming over this promise. Osi, the king's advisor, had long coveted more power and influence. His ambition was as vast as the river Niger, and when he overheard the king's words to Ejiro, a plan began to form in his devious mind. Osi was a master manipulator, and he knew that the best way to gain more power was to eliminate his rival, Ejiro. The days that followed were filled with subtle yet calculated actions. Osi, knowing the king's trust in Ejiro, began to weave a web of deceit. He spread rumors among the courtiers and the royal guards, claiming that Ejiro was conspiring to betray the king. Osi whispered that Ejiro was secretly plotting with the neighboring kingdom of Urum, a longtime rival of Ologbo, to stage a coup. King Odum, though wise, was not immune to manipulation. He had grown old, and the weight of the throne had begun to wear on him. His mind, once sharp as a spear, had begun to dull. The rumors planted by Osi took root in his thoughts. Osi, ever the trusted adviser, further fueled the king's doubts, painting Ejiro as a traitor. One fateful evening, under the guise of a private meeting, King Odum summoned Ejiro to the royal chambers. The walls of the chamber, adorned with ancient tapestries, seemed to close in on Ejiro as he stood before the king. "Do you deny the accusations against you?" King Odum's voice was cold, his eyes bet. "Do you deny the accusations against you?" King Odum's voice was cold, his eyes betraying no emotion. Ejiro, his heart heavy with confusion, shook his head. "My lord, I am loyal to you above all else. I have never plotted against you, nor have I ever spoken to anyone of treason." But the king, his heart clouded by the lies Osi had fed him, did not believe him. With a heavy heart, King Odum declared that Ejiro was to be cast out of the palace, stripped of his title and honor. Ejiro was forced to leave the palace, his dreams shattered and his soul broken. The kingdom of Ologbo, once prosperous and peaceful, began to fall into disarray. Under Osi's counsel, the king made poor decisions that caused unrest among the people. The crops failed, famine spread across the land, and the once thriving kingdom began to wither. Ejiro, now a wandering outcast, traveled from village to village, struggling to survive. His heart ached with the pain of betrayal, not just by Osi, but by the king whom he had once trusted with his life. His name became a whisper, a story told in dark corners of the kingdom. Yet he did not give up. His spirit remained unbroken, and in the heart of Urum he found a new purpose. He became a warrior, fighting in battles that earned him the respect of many. Years passed, and Ejiro's name became known far and wide. His deeds in battle were sung in the taverns of Urum, and his honor was unquestioned. But despite his new life, the pain of betrayal never left him. He longed for the day when he could return to Ologbo and confront the man who had once promised him the throne. One day, news reached him that King Odum was gravely ill. The king had fallen under a mysterious curse, and none of his healers could lift it. In desperation, the king sent for Ejiro, having realized the truth about Osi's treachery. When Ejiro returned to Ologbo, it was not as the humble servant he had once been, but as a man of honor and strength. He entered the palace, not with anger, but with the purpose of saving the kingdom he loved. He confronted Osi, who had grown arrogant and confident in his power. The truth of Osi's betrayal was laid bare for all to see. With the help of Ejiro's wisdom and strength, the curse was lifted, and the kingdom was restored. King Odum, now fully aware of his mistake, begged for Ejiro's forgiveness. Ejiro, with a heart both heavy and full of grace, forgave the king. He did not seek revenge, but instead showed the king that true power lay not in the throne, but in the heart of a servant. In the end, Ejiro became the king's most trusted advisor, and under his counsel, Ologbo flourished once more. Osi was banished from the kingdom, his deceit exposed for all to see. The people of Ologbo celebrated Ejiro's return, and his name became synonymous with loyalty, wisdom, and the power of forgiveness. And so, the story of Ejiro, the boy who had been betrayed by the one he trusted most, became a legend. His tale was told for generations, a story of how even in the face of betrayal there is redemption, and how a true leader is not defined by titles, but by the purity of their heart.